President Emmerson Mnangagwa delivered his State of the Nation address at the new Parliament midweek in class. Not much in reference to the content, but the elegance of the event. All the trinkets of wealth and heritage left as a legacy of the British colonial rule were employed to show power, control, and affluence. The judges were robed to the hilt, red gowns and their headgear imported all the way from the United Kingdom. The speakers of both the House of Assembly and Senate behind their symbols of power, the mace, all befitting the imposing new building in Mount Hampden, built and donated to Zimbabwe by China, the all-weather friends. Every second, cleaners were making sure the place is kept spotlessly clean, the red carpet, the walls, the grounds, just to ensure President Mnangagwa does not interact with dust. The efficiency of pleasing the rulers by government workers is second to none. Then he entered. It was a marvel to watch. Men mounted on horsebacks, the quality of the drills by the Presidential Guard. The president changed cars and ended up in a lavish vintage Rolls-Royce Phantom 4, in keeping with the tradition of Parliament established by Ian Smith. To spice it up, legislators were dressed in their best, in full, elegant and expensive fabric tailored mostly by the best craftsmen. They sought to outdo each other, even though it was no competition. Triple C legislator Tendai Biti and Themba Mliswa appeared to have told each other what hats to wear. The who is who in government also came so that they would be seen by the big boss. Looking at the A-list, it almost seemed certain government business had been frozen on that day. Turning to the inside, Biti shared a seat with Douglas Monzora, a tale of strange bedfellows. The air seemed tense and painful for both men who had become enemies regardless of years of working together. Former Minister of State Owen Ncube walked around as if he owned the place. President Emmerson took the seat of the Speaker of the House of Assembly to deliver his SONA. The reaction of the legislators was something else. Most of them were just dozing.
We take pride in the election of Honorable Chief Charumbira as President of the Pan-African Parliament. Also, we have our own citizen, son of the soil, Dr. Cosmas Zava as Director of the Telecommunications Development Bureau of the International Communications Union, as well as Zimbabwe's election.
After President Mnangagwa's address, legislators reacted to the SONA.
Everybody is aware that His Excellency, the President, was making his State of the Nation address and obviously also opening this session of the Parliament of Zimbabwe. Significantly, I think that it's important to note that the President's speech was full of a lot of economic activity that the country is currently undertaking. It is not the speech of speechifying, it's speech of action plans, action programs, not just plans but also progress reports on what is actually going on, which demonstrates the commitment of this government to make sure that it is taking the people of Zimbabwe from a lower level to a higher level in terms of economic development. But of course, one of the most significant things is also the fact that they were opening this statement by His Excellency was made for the first time in this magnificent, Parliament building, built as a gesture of friendship between the people of Zimbabwe and the people of China. It's a huge contribution and donation from the people of China to the people of Zimbabwe. It just demonstrates the relationship being taken to a completely new level. As you know, a lot of the investment projects that His Excellency mentioned in his speech, some of them are actually being spearheaded by Chinese companies. He mentioned lithium as one of the key industries that have seen significant investment. $450 million has come in from a Chinese company. 120 million in Odzi has come in from a Chinese company, all investing in lithium projects. And these lithium projects will obviously contribute to the gross domestic product of our country and the strengthening of the relationship between the people of Zimbabwe and the people of China. So it's a very exciting day today as we are celebrating this magnificent building, but more importantly, the progress that the government of Zimbabwe under President E.D. Mnangagwa is making to make sure that the economy grows.
I think so far what we have seen, this is a very, very good building. It is spacious and it does contain all the offices that must be there in building. The office of the leader of the opposition, there is a wing that is there. We have been very happy with the chamber, the two chambers, the National Assembly chamber as well as the Senate chamber. And the building is so constructed that you can have joint sittings of parliament. Like when the president delivered the State of the Nation address, we were in a joint sitting of parliament. And that is possible in this building. It is not possible in the other building.
So does it meet your expectations?
I think as a building, yes, it does. It does have sufficient facilities, but there are going to be logistical issues, of course, regarding transportation of the members of parliament from the hotels where they stay, which are in town, to here. We hope that the landowners of the surrounding land are going to construct buildings like hotels as well as shops. But apart from that, this is a very spacious place. It is the original site of the seat of Salisbury, of Harare anyway.
The president has delivered the State of the Nation address. Do you have confidence in what you are saying?
Well, it doesn't matter whether I have confidence or not, but I'll confine myself to the things that he said. We agree totally with what he said about the need for peace during the elections. And it must go beyond mere speaking. We must see ZANU-PF and the government acting peace. And we must also see complete depoliticization of food aid. When we go to election, because that's one of the main issues. We also must see complete lack of abuse of state institutions like the army, the police, and the CIO when we go to elections. So on the message of peace, we agree with the president. But we don't agree with him in the sense that he has said nothing about redressing the problem of unemployment in Zimbabwe. He has said nothing, his speech does not contain that. And yet we think that we should address this issue of unemployment. Most of our graduates from colleges, universities do not have jobs. Graduates from high school do not have jobs. And that is a critical issue. We also have not heard him saying anything about redressing the issue of endemic poverty that has afflicted our people. So for me, the speech was necessary but not sufficient.
He also spoke about shunning violence in Zimbabwe. As a party, do you have a plan to say no to violence as we go towards 2023?
The most peaceful party in Zimbabwe is obviously the MDC. Over the past 2 years, it has not been implicated in any violence. Even during the by-elections, the MDC was not involved. So we do agree that there must be no violence. And the MDC, as you may probably know, had its Congress. It was violence-free, its nomination process for its leadership. So we totally agree that there must be no violence in this country, and the political parties who are known for violence must shun that violence.
Listen, he set the tone, not two ways about it, but what you must also understand is that they're executors and implementers. Ministers do not implement what the president has said. The last SONA, how many came and responded to it? So it's become a well-known issue that this president will speak, he will set the tone well, but who implements, who execute, the ministers never come. They've been arrogant, they've been stubborn, they've not respected the appointing authority. So the response of the ministers clearly gives hope, but if they don't respond, it becomes a problem. May that issue be dealt with at the end of the day. But secondly, yes, the issues of the bills coming through is important. The electoral bill is important. I wanted to see the ZAC bill as chairman of African Parliamentary Nexus Against Corruption. We thought it was important because it's topical. Corruption is a pandemic which is ongoing and it's not stopping. So I didn't see him talking much about that because we've lost a lot through corruption at the end of the day. Child, early pregnancies, marriages, we need to be more punitive on that, and we must empower the president that any child who's pregnant below 18 an abortion must be done. They must be put on contraceptive so that they focus on their lives. We cannot have young children who are grandchildren to many being mothers today. That culture is not acceptable. Let's empower the president and let's have a law which makes it very clear. Though the abortion law really gives the mother who is in danger and the child in danger. But this one, the very same 7-year-old, 8-year-old, anybody under 18 is in danger as well. As a result, that must be terminated and they must focus on their future. We cannot have a country like this, an extra expense, and allowing children who are pregnant to come to school. We need to revisit that law again because they are basically encouraging. The laws don't talk to each other. So there's also some laws we've passed while we talk about consent age being 18, but we also have a law which says children who are pregnant must go to school. There's no age in term which is specified. So let's also look at all that and so forth. But production is critical. Production is also for people in offices. It's not only agriculture and mining. The people in offices must also produce at the end of the day. Work hard to be able to achieve these goals.
Thank you for joining the lighter look at the SONA with me, Lady Gomera, for HSTV News and Current Affairs, Mount Hampton.